Hello, everyone. Welcome to this workshop entitled Pharma. Your brand isn't the hero, but your customer is. I'm Mehrnaz Campbell. I'm founder of Cheemia and author of the Omni Advantage. And I work with pharma teams to help them shift the way we show up for customers, not just through what we say, but how we think. And I'm really thrilled to co-present this workshop with Vanitha Venkatesubramanian, because she's the executive director. What did I say wrong?
It's fine.
Venkatesubramanian.
But I appreciate the effort.
Venkatesubramanian.
Ah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Vanitha Venkatesubramanian. She's the executive director, commercial excellence in Novo Nordisk. But what's really good about her is she brings strategic depth as well as understanding frontline and brings that to the conversation. So we're both really excited to present this.
Likewise.
So what I want you to do is think about something you're probably already feeling, but you haven't quite found a name for it. I'm talking about the tension between what we think we're saying to healthcare professionals and what they hear and what they feel. And I'm not talking about adding another campaign layer here, no. I'm talking about shifting the way we show up in the way we frame our stories, the way we connect with them. And what I want to do is ask you a question. When it comes to your communication, who's the hero in your narrative, in your story? Is the hero the patient? Is the hero the healthcare professionals? Or is the hero the brand? And what I want you to think about is, in the classic pharma narrative, the stories often goes like this. The patient has a condition, a brand suddenly appears, cures the patient, and everybody lives happily ever after. But that doesn't represent the reality the HCPs are experiencing, right? There's something missing here. This is a classic hero's arc journey. You see it in all the blockbuster movies, and if you reflect of any movies you love, the narrative goes like this. A character faces a challenge, an ordeal. There's a guide, comes and helps that character, goes through transformation, and they come back changed. That story arc works because it's relatable, and people can experience it. And if I want you to think back on your campaign, your story, who's the guide in your narrative when you're communicating? And who's the hero in your story? Let me bring it to your personal experience. How many of you have a drill or borrowed a drill? Just put your hand up. Not many, right, okay. When we buy a drill, we don't really need a drill, do we? What we need a hole in the wall, because we're thinking about hanging a picture or putting some shelf up because we want to make our house feel like home. So imagine if the drill company kept sending you information about the latest technology, the speed, the torque of the drill. Would you really care? Well, I wouldn't. I'm sure you wouldn't. But if you think about it, that's what exactly we do to healthcare professionals. We send them information about product features, lots of clinical information, throw the kitchen sink at it and hoping something will stick. But what they're looking for is stories that actually relate to the pain points the patient's having, maybe the service design, and sometimes they're looking for solutions to just maintain their own sanity. So what we wanted to do with Vanitha, we wanted to give you an immersive experience. And I want you to sit back, relax, maybe munch on your popcorn, and I want you to think about, as you observe this immersive experience, this is a new name for it, by the way, I want you to think about, how do you feel emotionally and also professionally, and what's really connecting and what's missing in this experience. Are you up for it? Cool. So I'm just going to change character now. Maybe I'll just let my hair down as well. So really get into the character here. Right, okay. Is the mic still working? Good. I'm Dr. Campbell. I'm a consultant in diabetes and endocrinology. I've been a consultant for over a decade, and you know what I really want? I really want to be the head of department. As I said, I'm working in a teaching hospital, I teach in the university, and I have 5 clinical sessions per week I'll have a nurse specialist that helps me with annual reviews. But you know, my biggest challenge is 60% of my caseload is frail elderly patients, and they all have comorbidities, you know, cardiovascular disease, obesities, heart failure, and some of them even have respiratory conditions. And although I have most of them on maximum dose of dual oral therapy, getting the HbA1c is getting more difficult because of frailty, because of cultural and language barriers, and also health illiteracy. Personal life, I'm a single mom. I've got 2 teenagers, and I don't know whether any of you have teenagers. Right now, they're sitting the exams at the end of like GCSEs, high school. Tension's high. And my clinics are running late because I've got such a complex caseload, and I'm always late. And you know, frankly, it's really difficult to maintain home-life balance, and it's beginning to really wear me down. Now, it's the end of my clinic. I've ran an hour late. I still need to write my notes. And I've got an appointment to see a pharmaceutical rep, and I've cancelled her twice. So I didn't have the heart to cancel her this time.
Scene 1, take 1, roll B. Hi, Dr. Campbell.
Hi.
I am Vanitha from Pharma. I wanted to share some information about Glycomed, our once-weekly GLP-1 that helps reduce HbA1c by an average of 1.5% in 12 weeks with a good GI tolerability profile. It's been widely used in NHS pathways and works especially well with patients on dual oral therapy. If you're seeing a lot of uncontrolled patients, it could be a helpful option, you know. And I've also bought the data for you and all the initiation information, and I would love for you to consider using it more regularly in the clinic.
Okay, thank you.
Ah, cool. And would you, what I'll do is I'll actually follow up with all the information, and I'm going to visit you again tomorrow and maybe later in the week so that I can get to understand what you're going to do.
I think you need to book an appointment with the secretary. My clinics are really running late, and I still need to write the notes. But
sure. I'll certainly book you. Thank you.
Okay.
Scene 2, take 1, roll A. Hi, Dr. Campbell.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Ask me again. It's been a really difficult clinic.
Yeah.
And I'm running
Looks
a little
like
bit
another
late.
packed day at the clinic, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and what is going on? Why is it super packed today for you? Did you have a lot of complex cases or something?
Yeah, I've got lots of complex cases, and each of them taking a bit longer, and NHS expects us to see patients in 7 minutes. That's totally impossible. So I'm running late, and yeah, it's just been a really difficult one. Yeah.
I can totally understand. You know, in fact, I've heard something similar from other consultants, especially who are managing older patients. It's not easy, you see, especially the ones with comorbidities like obesity, cardiovascular risk, and also getting limited support at home. And I can totally understand it's a challenge also balancing that with the life that you have outside the hospital. I truly hear you.
Yeah, it is challenging. I mean, my nurse helps, but still overwhelming, the amount of cases that we need to get through.
Yeah.
So we're not managing it in time. Yeah.
It's nice that you have help, some bit of help from your nurse, and that reminds me, actually, one of the teams at Imperial College London has been piloting a pathway redesign using Glycomed, not just for HbA1c control, but actually to reduce touch points for their frailer patients, like the ones you are managing as well. They are also integrating that into nurse-led protocols and are seeing more stable glycemic control, and more time is thus freed up for consultants like you. Yeah.
That sounds really interesting. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and I think that's why I actually thought about you, and glad it's sparking some interest in you. Actually, it won't solve, I will be honest with you, right? It's not going to solve everything, but it can actually ease up to 50% of your current workload. So I think it's worth exploring. And I'm also pretty sure that it's showing some consistent reduction in CV risk markers in the 60-plus cohort.
That's a really good sign, yeah.
You know, if you're open to it, I can actually send the case studies from Imperial and connect you with their lead consultant. And if you're open to scan this QR code so that you can give me an e-consent for the email follow-up that I could do with you?
Yeah, as long as you promise your marketing department's not going to send me a whole load of stuff, you know, and you give consent.
Definitely.
It's like opening the floodgates.
Yeah,
so
definitely
yeah,
this
there you go.
Imperial study, for sure.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I also think, I've been looking up your profile, and I know you are trying to be the head of department. So I have another stuff for you. Maybe you're interested. So we are also running a leadership development series for consultants who are aiming for departmental roles like you. So I thought it might be of interest to you. Would it be?
Definitely. When is that happening?
I'll share the details, and I'll share the details in the email follow-up. But I also think, I just wanted to also wrap up by asking, how would you feel actually about trying Glycomed, the product that we have, with the patients that you have, so that especially the ones who are using it with the imperial protocol, so that you can see how it is managing the comorbidities. So I'm thinking we could catch up in 4 to 6 weeks and to see if it's actually impacted clinical time and patient outcomes. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really interested to look at the protocol.
Excellent.
And if it aligns with our service structure,
Yeah.
I would definitely give it a go.
How cool, and thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and go
Yeah.
have a chill time.
No, I can't chill. I've got to finish writing my notes now.
But hopefully the information I'm going to send you is going to really help you very soon. So looking forward to helping you.
And promise me your market's not going to send
Yeah.
me a whole
Deal.
floodgates of
That's a deal.
Cheers. Thank
See
you
you later. Bye.
I'm going to skip the slide because we've had scene 1, we've had scene 2. See, you've got more time for popcorn now. So what I want you to do is think about the first role play versus the second role play. How did it feel for you? Do you want to share, anybody? We've got a roving mic there. Matt? The first one, yeah. Awkward, right? Yeah. Do you want to use the mic to share that?
Yeah, just not going in to listen, going in just to going with features to benefits, no empathy around your day, and just brand USPs and focused on.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the pharma company, but whatever.
It was like an information dump, like talking at the doctor, tell-cell, we call it in pharma. Which message to you felt relevant? Anybody wants to share? Yeah? Susan, do you want to share your observations?
I think it's obvious. The second one showed the power, the true power of omnichannel, and how the rep could make the most out of the articulation of all the channels, as well as all the knowledge she had about the consultant.
Yeah, insights matter.
Yeah,
Insights so important.
The insights translated into engagement points.
Yeah.
So obviously the second one was a proof of how omnichannel engagement should look like.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, Susan. Anybody else wants to share their observations?
I have a question.
Go for it.
This is Sorry, can you use the mic, please? Hi, everyone. So my question is, she has an insight about you, and probably she knows you for some period of time. What about if the medical representative is completely new?
Can I just tell you this? Because I actually sell directly to customers in NHS, and you find so much information and insight about them on Google or open sources, and there's no excuse for any reps not to know that information about their consultants, because they can find that out easily. You can see their publications, their area of interest. Okay, you wouldn't know that they're single parents with 2 teenage children, but if you make that connection and connect with somebody, people voluntarily share that information. But there's a lot of information you can find if you just make the trouble. But the problem is often the reps don't properly prepare for the call. They turn up and go through their spiel. But if you sold less customers, but for each customer took the time to really personalize that story, you can make much more deeper connections, especially those who are heads of department and make policy decisions. Thank you for asking that question. Anybody else? So, another thing, who was the hero in this narrative? Maybe the first narrative, anybody wants to comment who was the hero?
Yeah, we have our head CP there.
Sorry?
I think we have.
Hand up?
Yeah.
I didn't see the hand. Who was the hero in the second story? You've got your hand up there. Yeah.
In the first one, it was the rep thought they were the hero. In the second one, it was definitely the doctor that was the hero, and the rep was the guiding character.
Brilliant. And when you observe pharma narratives, the bit that is missing in pharma stories, often the brand is the hero, but there's no ordeal or there's no guide as you can shift the narrative and change that. And if you make the brand as the guide and the HCP is the hero, you really change the feeling for the HCP in that narrative. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the final question, how did each of these scenarios make you feel? I know Matt volunteers, the first one made him feel really uncomfortable, made me really uncomfortable. I couldn't wait to get rid of her. Sorry, Vanitha. But any other observations from anybody else? Put your hand up if you want to share.
I think the first one reminded me of an interaction I had the other day, actually, in a completely different context, where I actually felt quite annoyed at the end because somebody just threw a load of information at me without asking what was important to me and what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay. They were just trying to sell and push all this stuff on me. And I was like, whoa, I couldn't wait to get off the phone.
Thank you for sharing that.
Quite frankly, I just couldn't. I thought I don't really want to deal with them again.
Yeah. That's brilliant. And you know, Mike, a lot of the reps in the digital world, when they do digital call, they just forget to even say hello, who they are, and connect with that person to see how their day is going. They just go on the like a digital detail aid and just do a information dump. And it's just, you know, if you meet somebody and just give them a burger without asking them whether they're hungry, they're just going to think you're weird, aren't they? And I think people forgetting that just human connection first. So, how about the second one? What was your observation?
Well, obviously, a more extreme example to prove the point. But I imagine that a person would just feel that actually you've got my interest at heart. I mean, in reality, you'd probably ask a few more questions, wouldn't you? It'd be a bit more of a discussion. But I thought the role play worked really well, by the way. I thought that, you know, to demonstrate the difference. But yeah, I think I would remember the person, which is obviously helpful, certainly for the representative. And when their email comes through, I'm much more likely to open it and take note of it because there's things in there that could help me rather than just pushing some information that they wanted to share. Brilliant. So, but I also, you know, to pick up on the other points over here about doing your homework and the insights, and, you know, you can get information online about people. So, and it doesn't take very long, probably, to do that. So yeah, I think that's really key.
Thank you. And I can tell you, because my team and myself have a personal experience of connecting with healthcare professionals, when you care about them, genuinely care about them, it shows through your words, through the way you carry yourself. And when they feel you care, that's when you really make a great connection. And you can see them time and time again, because they don't see you as another rep here to sell me something. They see somebody who's care about me, who's willing to work with me to create solutions together. Yeah. Even if you can't solve their problems, showing that empathy creates that connection.
Yeah. And I think the reality is they're not waking up at night or in the morning thinking about your brand.
No, of course
they're thinking about their difficult patients they've got coming in that day and how they're going to try and navigate that.
Yeah.
Or whether they've done something wrong, a misdiagnosis or something like that. There's probably lots of things that they're thinking about, but it will be much more patient-centric and their workload, just like us.
And I think it's reality. I mean, do all of you go home and think about work? No, you go home and you think about your children, your mom, your parents, you know, things you need to book, the holiday you're going. They're not going to go home and think about, I've got to read like the latest version of BMJ. They've got challenges and they've got a life and they just want to get out of the hospital. So best thing you can do as a marketing, sales, medical is don't waste their time. Show empathy towards the time that they have, because they are expected to do a lot more. My son is a junior doctor. He's just so overwhelmed all the time. Every time I talk to him, he said, Mom, I'm just overwhelmed. I said, do you want to talk about work? He said, no, I don't want to talk about work. Can we talk about something else? Because a lot of them are having breakdown because it's just too much for them to cope with. And I think the digital is not really helping either. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Vanitha, who's going to share her immersive experience.
Thanks, Mehrnaz. And I think the role play is probably an idea we should take back home as well, because I think it brings a message. And I was just reflecting based on what everybody was saying. By making your customer a hero, you invariably make your product a hero too, because then it has a ripple effect, the experience. So with that, anyway, I think in the morning session, I did allude to the fact that we partnered on something on shifting the mindset of our cross-functional teams, medical and commercial, in how they can not just be customer-centric in their thinking, but how can they build this customer intimacy in action, and how to operationalize this mindset as we launch brands after brands, right? At the end of the day, we have to launch a brand, but how do you embed or nurture this customer-centric thinking? And I think we experimented this in Novo for a specific therapy area, with a new therapy area with all the cross-functional teams. And there's a lot of learnings, and I think some of the key takeaways is like some of the concepts that you brought to the table, like especially the marginal gains concept. And I think if you want to know more about this program, you can always reach out to Mehrnaz. But she came about this concept on marginal gains, which is interesting because in order to get started, you don't have to boil the ocean or create a big effect on day one. It can be like one small, tiny, good habit for just one day at a time, and by the end of the year, you'll have like a really good gain in terms of how your mindset is on customer intimacy. With that, I think there were many other concepts that Mehrnaz introduced, but I think the end of the day, it all landed well. So the way we ran this program was based on 2 workshops. So we had a workshop which mainly focused on first I think embracing the shift, right? It's more on the mindset. And the second one was orchestrating success, where it got a bit more practical on how to operationalize this mindset, how to break down silos and things like that. And in between these workshops, what we did was we created, again, a community-based learning. Like, we created a group with all those who joined our program, and we, Mehrnaz and her team, were constantly engaging with them, trying to give them little challenges like the marginal gains concept, asking them what did they do differently to actually build customer intimacy. And in fact, some of the comments that came for us was interesting, because back in the days, commercial teams will do their stuff, medical teams will do their stuff, and I think one comment was how they had a challenge and the commercial team wasn't sure how to approach it, and they actually collaborated and connected with the medical teams to get more information and insight about customers so they can create a better content or campaign or whatever that is, right? So I think the whole community-based thinking with those 2 workshops and a follow-up also. You can speak better on this in case I miss it. So action planning or follow-ups on how they can continue to use customer empathy mapping was very interesting. So that's the other tool, right? One was the marginal gains thinking, and the second one was customer empathy map. So we actually asked our teams to we gave them a scenario and asked them, hey, how much do you know about your customers? And we used the customer empathy map to get to understand customers more. And it was interesting because the teams did struggle a bit in the beginning. They were like, oh, this is new, and I didn't think of it from this angle. I've always thought about what my brand key messages are. For the very first time, I think they were pushed in their mindset to think a little bit more about what customers they are actually going to connect with and engage with. So that went really well. And breaking down silos was also interesting, right? I think Mehrnaz gave an amazing example on how a discoordinated team would look like versus a coordinated team. And I don't want to rat out or give more information because it's super fun when you go and do the workshop with your teams. But at the end of the day, I've shown this slide earlier today. So it was a successful workshop, I would say, because all of them who joined the workshop actually said one of their aha moment or biggest takeaway was how they need to be more customer-centric or customer-focused. And another point that we made on was about the silos, right? So we asked them who should be involved in any kind of customer engagement planning, whether it's omni-channel or just face-to-face or hybrid, from day one. So clearly, as you can see, it's not just medical, marketing, but also legal came in, senior leadership, sales team, compliance, customers. It's actually interesting, right? So I think it was a very successful workshop, but we do want to do more. We want to do version 2.0, right, based on all the learnings, and to push the boundaries a little bit more and to make it more like a role play kind of a setup. So with that, yeah, those were my reflections, and very happy and thankful to Mehrnaz and her team to bring this to the table. So I think this is a start. So thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you all.
So we've got... I'm just going to have... is this slider working? You've logged that? sorry. Shall I pass this on to you? Hold on a second. Oh, what is the Slido I need to do? Can I just exit and make sure I've got a Slido running? Anyway, should we skip the Slido?
I think
I think we skip the Slido.
you can ask the questions by
Yeah.
a show of hands or something like that. We can still show the
The
slides.
first question I was going to ask you is, if you put it on slide 12, please.
Slide 12. Thank you.
Sorry, tech is breaking, but I can still talk and connect with you.
And I can record the response live.
Move forward, please. Yeah.
Next one.
No, it's not like working. So
Okay.
anyway, I was just going to say, based on what you experience, how likely you are to increase your focus around shifting the narrative towards the customer versus the brand? Put your hand up if he's like touched you and you feel you made that shift. Anyone? Perfect. What was the second question? Do you remember?
It was your role,
So
sorry.
if you take it back to that slide, I'm just going to wrap up this session because I'm conscious of time as well. We're going to go out and have a drink and just let our hair down. I know I did it earlier on. What I was going to say is, when you see what happens when you flip the story from the brand being the hero to customer being the hero, everything changes, the narrative changes. And 3 things happen. The first thing is you make a real connection, because you're not talking about the brand messages, you're talking about their pain points, so what you're saying is relevant. The second thing happens is you build trust, because if the narrative is something that the healthcare professionals can relate to, they're more likely to listen and they're more likely to act. And the final thing, which is really, really important, you make meaningful connection. This is not about open rate or click rates, this is about actually connecting with someone, making them feel differently, and as a result, they're going to go and take action and have better outcomes for the patients, better outcomes for the healthcare professionals, but also better outcome for us as a pharmaceutical organization that are trying to help them to solve the problem. So the message from this workshop was, your brand isn't the hero, the HCP is. And if you flip it, you not only feel better, you actually connect better with them. Thank you.
We'll take a selfie.
Yeah.
I just want you to hold on for a second because we're going to do a selfie
Vanitha's
with
keen to win the competition that we're running. I know you are as well, so she wants to do a selfie with you guys.
Come on, again. I'm going to try.
She's
okay,
doing-
so shout out, all of you.
She's doing all the marketing campaigns to differentiate herself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Cheers.
Pleasure.